This episode of Out of Spec Reviews is brought to you by Magna. More on that later. Hello and welcome back to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome here to just west of Denver, where we do our driver assistance challenge. So we are going to be running the new Hogback driver assistance challenge with the Porsche Taycan and its Porsche InnoDrive with active lane keeping. Not the most attractive name on the planet. But I also want to talk about some of the updates this car has received since the 2020 model year. 2021 and 2022 and onwards received plug-in charge. There's now some over-the-air functions that we can activate. So let's talk about some of the things we've done with this car. I'll show you some of the newer improvements to Taycan, one that I think is incredibly important, and then we'll run the Hogback and see how good its driver assistance system is, since this thing is one hell of a long distance cruiser with 270 kilowatts, battery preconditioning, and plug-in charge, and a good route planner. Like, it's just all there, so I hope the driver assistance system can match it. So before we run the Hogback, we got to drive it up I-70, which means we need to get some juice in this thing. And well, Taycan for 2020 never had plug-in charge. That was actually before ISO 15118 was even a thing. So now plug-in charge is available in Taycan. It unfortunately, I believe, is not retrofittable to 2020 model year, the first model year, but at least 2021 and up cars have it. So let me show you how it works. It's super simple. I've just run over to a DC fast charger. I open up the charging flap. I like the manual flap. It also allows for an airflow passage here, a tiny bit better efficiency, which is pretty sweet. And then I plug it in, and in theory, I just walk away. That's the idea, but let's see how long this will go. So plug-in charge itself is the future, in my opinion. It's the Tesla experience. You guys saw the Tesla superchargers in the intro over there. It's basically where you walk up, plug in, and go. But it's been one heck of a buggy rollout. If you guys remember, I had a Mustang Mach-E road trip on our sister channel, Out of Spec Motoring, and wow, was that just a bad experience. Nothing to do with the car, totally down to plug-in charge communication failing. I don't know if it was on Ford's sides or Electrify America's side. However, that was a year plus ago, and now it just seems to work. And watch it not work now, but I'm pretty sure it will. It says connecting to vehicle right here. So what it's going to do is it's basically talking to the car's talking to the charger. It's going to say, hey, I'm Porsche's car. It's not mine, it's a Porsche car. And it's going to say, here's how you bill me, even though this car comes with free charging. And then it should just go. And that's the idea behind plug-in charge. And there you go, cable cooling's on, payment's been authorized. It just takes a little while for plug-in charge to go. So that is, I think, the only and the last issue here with plug-in charge is the time it takes for the communication of payment processing and stuff. So we recently did a big road trip in this car, racing it from Fort Collins to Vegas. And if you watch that video, you'll see we didn't actually use plug-in charge. The reason is, if you activate on the app first, on the Porsche app or the EA app, and front load the payment process before you plug in, it actually saves some handshake time, and we were in a race. But there you go, now we're charging. You can see the car is going green right here. There you go, going green, juicing up. And well, that's the magic of plug-in charge. Pull up, plug in, walk away, a three-step process we all can follow. Guys, check this out. This has got to be one of the first C40s out in the wild. Looks pretty good. You guys know, I think out of the C40, XC40, and Polestar 2, I'd go XC40, boxy one. Yeah, pretty sweet. I drove that car in Belgium, so go watch our first drive. But back to the Porsche. Come on up front with me. I want to show you something. So if you join me up over here, and you take a look down here, you'll see this little black cone right here in the front. See that thing? That is the radar sensor. You'll also see a camera up here in the windshield looking right, right up there. If you option a Porsche with adaptive cruise control, which is a pretty common option for Taycans, you can unlock some things over the air. So for those of you who don't know, Porsche's ordering system is extremely, I wouldn't say complicated, but I would say there's a lot of options. And part of that's really cool because you get to build the exact car you want, and very rarely will you find the identical car to yours out there. But what it also means is when you're going to buy a car off the lot, for example, it may not have all the options you're looking for. But recently Porsche basically updated their cars where if you have adaptive cruise control, that means that the cars have all the sensors needed for Porsche InnoDrive and active lane keeping, lane centering. And well, this car came to us at the beginning when Porsche dropped it off with just adaptive cruise control. And I was like, let me go online, log into this car's account, and basically download the driver assistance functions over the air. So what I did was I went into, Porsche Connect's online portal, logged in with this car's stuff. I found the Porsche InnoDrive portion, which is the smart adaptive cruise control, which does basically slowing down for corners, roundabouts, and adapting to the speed limit. I downloaded that to the car. It showed up as an update in the PCM, the Porsche control module. I then said, yep, download it. Took, 5-10 minutes, and then the car had InnoDrive. And there's 3 ways you can pay for InnoDrive. The first would be a free 3-month trial, which is pretty nice. That's what I did on this car, so I didn't charge Porsche. The second would be a monthly subscription of, I think, $24 per month US. And then the third way would be to just pay for it up front at $960, something like that, $958, I think. And so, yeah, then I threw InnoDrive on the car. And then I was like, well, I kind of want it to do lane centering as well. So I went back and repeated the same process, the same pricing applies, and I added Porsche InnoDrive with active lane keeping all over the air, which is really sweet. So this car is on a free 3-month subscription of Porsche's InnoDrive with active lane keeping, the full driver assistance suite, and I threw it on there so we could go film it up on the Hogback. You join me back at the office with these incredible views to thank Magna. Now, Magna is a technology company that produces not only parts for cars, but also technological solutions from manufacturing and design and engineering. They cover so many parts of the automotive sector, and I bet you've interacted with a Magna product in your life before. Magna actually is very near and dear to my heart because their partnership, Magna Steyr in Austria, produced my first car, a Mini Countryman, and it was built right there in Graz. A lot of you are also familiar. Magna's going to be producing the Fisker Ocean in their Magna Steyr factory, and they also build G-Wagons, and nothing gets tougher than a G. So really excited about our partnership with Magna, of course. They are also hiring for engineers, so we know a lot of you guys are super interested in technology and automotive. I'll leave a link below so you can learn more about possible opportunities at Magna, but of course we want to thank them for sponsoring today's video and being such a huge supporter of Out of Spec. Truly, they are pushing mobility forwards responsibly and sustainably.
All right, so we finished charging and we're now at the Woolly Mammoth parking lot, and that's where we are going to be starting all of the Hogback trial challenge, whatever it's going to be called in the future. But Kyle's going to explain the point system to you guys.
It's called the Hogback challenge because that's what this section of mountain is.
Right, but it's still brand new.
It's still a new challenge. This is the third car we've run. So far, we've run the Volkswagen Golf R and the Rivian R1T, both of which were extremely impressive. However, this is an extremely challenging bit of road for any car to complete because we have about, we start at 6,000 feet of elevation. We go up to about 8,500. There's 50 corners. It's 30 miles long. So we go up 15 miles, back 15 miles. And yeah, it should be kind of interesting. The Porsche Taycan is equipped with a camera and a radar on this particular one. Also has ultrasonics or radar for blind spot. It's kind of unclear which it can use. My understanding is this system works a little bit better in Europe, but the Taycan we had in Europe didn't have it.
I don't think that should be an excuse.
Well, we'll see how well it does. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, it is in the US, and that's where our test is.
Yeah.
I have to explain how the system's broken up, though, because it's Porsche InnoDrive with adaptive cruise control and active lane keeping. That's the official name of this system.
Okay.
That's a terrible name.
I already forgot it.
So let's break it down. The car has adaptive cruise control. That's what this car came delivered with.
Yeah, every car has that.
Most new cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, most, or at least it's optional on most cars. And yeah, everyone knows what that is.
Right.
And then there's InnoDrive, which actually I don't think anyone totally understands what InnoDrive is. I didn't. That doesn't mean everyone else has my brain, but basically I thought InnoDrive was the lane steering stuff. Not the case. InnoDrive apparently is just where the vehicle slows down for corners, roundabouts, and can adapt its adaptive cruise control system to the set speed limit.
Can it do lane changes?
Can't do, but that's separate. That's the steering stuff. But no, the car can't do lane changes.
It's all separate, okay.
So InnoDrive has nothing to do with steering.
Right. Such a Porsche thing to have so many different
Yeah,
options in when everything should just be in one package, in
but
my opinion.
It's the Porsche way.
It's the Porsche way, okay.
Not saying it's better.
No.
It's just is what it is. You just got to spec every little thing.
Right.
And then if you spec InnoDrive with active lane keeping, which I believe is actually the only way to spec the car from new, from the factory, if you were to software update it, the InnoDrive and active lane keeping are two separate packages. That's why everyone thought InnoDrive was steering. Active lane keeping is where the vehicle actively keeps in its lane. It's lane centering.
So what is InnoDrive?
InnoDrive is just the speed adaptation for speed limits, corners, roundabouts, and navigation directions. So basically, if you're on adaptive cruise control and it says turn right in 500 feet, in theory, the car would slow down, you do your maneuver, and then it would speed back up.
So it's adaptive cruise control.
Nope, because adaptive cruise control is when there's a car in front of you. It slows down for that.
Well, I'm sure our audience understands it a lot more than I do.
I don't know.
I
It's
hope
pretty
so.
complicated.
Yeah.
There is a little setting on the bottom of the cruise control stock where I can show all of the different options. The first is lane keep assist. That's where if you hit a line, it pushes you back in. Then there's active lane keeping, which is lane centering. Porsche InnoDrive, which does speed adaptation. Adaptive cruise control, or a speed limiter, which is when you're on the throttle, the car won't go above a certain set speed.
That
which
just all goes way over my head.
It's a little very,
Much.
expert level of understanding how Porsche stuff works.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's start with the point system. Of course, before we head out on this trial, cars have the chance to either earn or lose points based on the strategy of their system, and we've tallied it up here with the Porsche. The first thing it could earn points for is a capacitive steering wheel. Does it have a capacitive steering wheel?
Yes.
No.
No.
So it doesn't earn any points there. So it lost out on 5. Driver safety eye tracking. No eye tracking on here either. Limited to pre-mapped highways. It's not limited to pre-mapped highways, although occasionally InnoDrive will just completely shut off without warning, and it'll come up InnoDrive shut off.
So then it is technically limited.
No, because then you can just turn it back on.
Right away?
Yeah, and it works on side roads and stuff. So it doesn't need to be pre-mapped, but it seems like if you're on a pre-mapped section of highway and your construction zone brings you off of it, then it freaks out. It's a little buggy, but we're not pulling points because the genesis behind this option here is like the Rivian, where it doesn't let you use it anywhere except on pre-mapped highways.
Okay.
So that's okay. And does the gauge cluster show cars around? The answer is no. It does not show other cars around, only the car in front. So it actually earned no points.
None.
But it also lost no points.
None.
Then there's automatic functions. Does the vehicle adapt to speed limits? Yes, it does.
Yes.
That's plus 5 points. However, it doesn't have a speed limit offset, which means you're locked to the speed limit, which no one drives. And so then we've just subtracted 5 points from that.
Okay.
So basically, InnoDrive is becoming pretty useless, in my opinion. Adaptive system aggressiveness, which means if it's pretty slow and lazy in eco mode, you can put the car in sport mode, and then it actually gets a little bit more aggressive with its speed changes. It does do that.
It says it does do that.
And I felt it. I can
You
see
did?
the power gauge, but it's very minor.
Okay.
But it still earns the points.
Okay.
However, it didn't earn the extra point where you can separate that from the driving mode.
Mm.
Yep.
Okay.
Because this particular car doesn't actually have Sport Chrono, which means there's no individual driving mode.
But you can option that.
Yeah, but this one doesn't have it, so we can't give it the 1 point.
Well, yeah.
Okay. In theory, you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it has no automatic lane change, but then the safety warning system is good.
Very good.
Very good. So we'll have a video coming in a second, but basically the car will yank the seatbelt at you. It
My
does.
seatbelt too.
Oh, and the passenger seat. That's
Yeah.
right. The hazard lights come on, and it brings the vehicle to a complete stop. And so in theory, it earned a lot of points in the safety category. And we'll play that clip to you now so you can see exactly what happens when you don't pay attention on InnoDrive, or if you have a medical emergency and it's got to wake you up. So letting off the steering wheel here, you can see the vehicle is continuing on. I'm just going to slow down a little bit just because we were coming up on these cars in the right lane. Actively steering just fine, no warnings yet. There's our first one. It says driver control required. You can see a secondary warning there in the instrument cluster up top. Again, just slowing our speed. That doesn't tell the car we're paying attention. I just want traffic to go around us more or less. Let's see what will happen. There's our red driver control required indication. Active steering is still on.
we go. Driver control required. Yanking my seatbelt hard. Pulsing the brakes really hard. No one's behind us.
Ow!
Emergency stop activated. Oh my gosh. Applied hazards and it put itself in park. And then it let itself off. Intervention has been canceled. Wow. It like slammed on the brakes, threw itself in park, and squeezed the hell out of us.
Both of us.
Well, that's honestly the way it should be. The only thing more I wish that the car would do would be to beep the horn on the outside, like the ID4 does. But pretty good emergency assist. That might be the best we've ever had in the test. It actually, so far, is the best we've had in this test. Pretty interesting to see what happens when the emergency stuff comes on, don't you think?
Yes, it definitely, the Audi does that, right?
The Audi does most of it, yeah.
And then another car does it, but a couple cars do it. But but you notice that it does not honk the horn, and you think that that's important as well to have.
Yeah, we were discussing the horn thing. The ID4 honks the horn. I think it's great because if you're stopped there and let's just assume medical emergency, you're slumped over, the horn will at least get people to look at you.
But on that car, does it just beep, 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 or is it just a straight horn? Because I think a straight horn would be good, but not like a beep, 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 beep.
So you want to break our horn category into multiple subsections of what kind of horn?
I'm thinking about in like the terms of safety.
Yeah.
Well, how would I react if this were happening to some? Not while I'm driving.
If you were driving by.
Yeah, if I was driving by, if somebody's just. I would think that somebody was just able to beat the horn.
Yeah, but if you're unresponsive, you're probably not going to maintain this position. You'll probably be...
No, when people are unresponsive, they could slump over and they can hit the horn and it just goes.
Okay.
That would be where my brain goes.
Okay. So automakers, take note.
Yeah.
What I need you to do is we're starting with a total of 9 points.
9.
Okay, so you got the calculator, right?
Yes.
Really? You better write this stuff down. Just to let you know, while during the drive, the road gets more aggressive as the time goes on. So hopefully it can do the first bit without issue, and then it'll get progressively harder. There's 3 different types of takeovers that we remove points for, all with increasing severity. The first is the driver putting input in for safety. That means we're just touching the line, we're going over the line, I correct the car, then we go back in the line. The second would be if the system just shuts off without warning. That means that the steering system says, oh, no, can't do that. There's no visual audible warning, and it just lets go.
Like what Tesla does with my grandfather, and he
nope,
never knows.
His does it with warning.
With
and
warning?
That's, so yeah. That's,
does it? I thought it just chimes on and off.
Nope, it'll go beep, 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 beep if it can't handle a driving situation. He just doesn't turn it on.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically -1 point for driver takeover for safety, -2 points for auto disengagement if it says, hey, I can't make this corner, please grab the steering wheel, and -3 points for disengagement with warning. Now, I already know what Porsche is going to say when they email me about this video. They're going to say, well, the system's designed to have your hands on the wheel and for you to assist the car if it can't manage a maneuver. That's not how it wins points in this test, though. Yeah, basically, if the car is doing active lane centering in our test, it has to manage the maneuvers, and I'm here just putting a little bit of torque in the wheel to tell the car I'm there. If it just shuts off, which I know the system's going to do, then basically, yeah, just -2 points for that. So you got 9 in your calculator there?
I have 9 in the calculator.
Oh, you can show this camera back here too.
And this.
Or this one, or that one.
Oh, here you go too.
Okay, so I just heard something flying around back there.
That was my water bottle. It's on the ground.
Yeah, we're gonna go around a lot of corners, so let's hold on to that.
All right.
On the way to the highway, what do you think about the Taycan? We've done many...
So much on the Taycan.
We have done many thousands of miles in Taycans around the world.
Honestly, this past two years, we've been in a Taycan more than we have our actual Tesla.
It's very possible.
It's 100% possible. I mean, I love the car. Obviously, it's a Porsche. How can you go wrong with that? It's beautiful. It's well made. But I am just kind of disappointed in the software side of it. They just haven't gotten it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when we were just like setting up things, and it was just been a hassle within different updates and stuff like that, weren't getting to the car.
A lot of that was just because these are media cars and they're early and they're not like what a customer would experience, though. Like this car had a weird Euro thing going on with it that like doesn't happen.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I don't really know those things, but I would say the only thing that was very disappointed in our road trip was when driving it in range mode, it feels awful.
It's a little bumpy in range
It is,
mode.
yeah, it is just not comfortable at all.
All right, so we got the speed now set to 65 miles an hour. We've passed the sign, and we're auto lane steering, and, oh, -1 point.
-1.
-1. Already we're at a -1. But it's going to do it. It finished that lane change. So, cruising along here, basically the system is using the camera. Middle of the day, sun's directly overhead, but I wouldn't expect it to make too much of a difference. Driver control torque in, that's no negative points there. We typically run middle lane for this particular section. A nice thing about this system is when you hit the left turn signal, it actually speeds up. There we go, back on the system. It actually speeds up to, before you've cleared the path of the vehicle in front, which is the way it should be, in my opinion.
Do you have to, like, continue? Does it just automatically go on and off?
The system, you mean?
Yeah, like you don't have to chime it back in with, like with the Tesla and stuff?
No, so
You
this
don't have to-
system's strategy is different than like a Driver Plus and a Rivian or an autopilot. This is really adapted more for an aid than it would be for like a sort of hardcore driver assistance. And first off, driving drunk in here. And I think we're going to have a new editor's note, which is -1 point every time it drives drunk, because technically it's within the lines.
Right.
But if it wiggles like to the point where a cop would pull you over, I think that's a -1 point situation. What do you think?
Yeah, there definitely needs to be some kind of note with that.
Also, the speed limit is actually wrong right here. It is
was
65 here.
Doing that on our road trip as well.
Yeah, it just has the wrong data for this section of road.
Right.
Yep. But it's doing these corners actually better than I expected so far, just based off of my experience with the system up to this point. And so, touching that line, I would say that's still good.
Yeah, it didn't touch.
Let's hop in the right lane. A lot of our audience wants us to drive in the right lane. Nice Cayenne going for it. Mostly because of these sort of barriers. You know how the Tesla kind of loops over for them?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, as you were saying, it does not really, you don't have to re-engage it. You kind of can just leave it on all the time.
Okay.
And then, that guy's getting pulled over.
A lot of people getting pulled over today.
Yeah, a
Man,
lot
it's
of-
Easter.
it's
It's
Easter.
a holiday. Leave them alone. I got pulled over on National Women's Days, guys. Like, what was that
Well,
about?
gotta take over. One, it was going in way too hardcore for that Range Rover.
-1.
That's a -1.
We're at 7 currently.
Yeah, so we've subtracted 2 points. But didn't we give it a -1 for drunk driving too? Like kind of here-ish? Not really? Yeah, I guess
No, 'cause
that's
it
fine.
didn't touch the line.
Okay. That's right. Didn't touch the line. So that would be just a driver takeover for safety.
Right.
But it's still kind of active. Yeah, so this system, I don't know why it's taking me forever to get my point across. Yes, when you put your turn signal on, it shuts the steering off. As soon as you get over to the lane that you do want to travel in, it automatically re-engages.
I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah. You don't have to hear ding 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 ding.
Right.
There's that really cool house.
Yeah, really nice house up there. I forget what it's called, but there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos on it.
Yeah, it's a big architecture thing.
Yeah, big architecture thing.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so it's driving control.
No, that's just saying it's want to feel my hands.
Just
It
wants to
really
feel
wants to feel your hands on the steering wheel.
Which that's
a lot.
okay. It needs to.
I actually agree. I'm
Yeah.
right there with you. Yeah. So far, way better than expected. But it is so far the worst performing in this test compared to Volkswagen's Travel Assist and the Rivian's Driver Plus system. And it's pretty tough to create a standardized driver assistance challenge because things change. I wish we could move over for this guy, but we can't. There's someone over there. Oh well.
And the system will also get better over time as this becomes a more normal thing with cars.
I will say, just in my experience of using InnoDrive around every day, not good.
Not good.
I don't like it.
Well, is that like in city?
No, I mean, I guess urban areas, highway stuff where I'd kick on autopilot, it's fine. It's a different strategy. But for what I want out of a system, which is kind of just to stay in the middle of the lane, especially on straight roads, this has a ton of ping-ponging. And it's not even like ping-ponging, it's like drunk driver hunting. It's like, oh, and then, oh.
Yeah.
But it did this really well, actually. You can see it went to the right, and we're touched the line. That's a -1. I would say I could have taken over there.
But it wasn't necessary.
wasn't necessary to take over for
Just
safety,
gonna
but
ping pong back.
that definitely was like, we have the influence over the points too. That was a -1.
Right.
So it's definitely sort of like working, it's supposed to work in conjunction with the driver, but I feel like all of this waffling around in the lane that we're doing
Kinda
right
nauseating.
now, it's nauseating. It's a little weird.
And for like a Porsche, like how much is this car?
Well, you could make that argument. This car is about
I can
100
make that
grand.
argument. If you're paying like over 100 grand for a car,
Well, you have to
everything-
then option it for like 1,800 bucks.
Well,
or
yeah, so it's
1,600
even
bucks.
more than the 100 grand. So it should just work.
But
and
you
it
could
should
get
work well.
if you just want to look at the cheapest Taycan with InnoDrive. I'm not here to defend Porsche, but I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay, what's it going to do here? The whole right line. It's lost it, but it still has the green line on the display here.
No touch.
No, that was perfect. Really nicely done there.
So do you think maybe it's learning? Because doesn't a lot of does the system learn as it goes, or is it just as is?
No, it just is what it is, and it can get updates because this was downloaded to the cars, and the car does support over-the-air updates.
So is that kind of maybe the benefit of pre-mapped highways?
This one doesn't really use pre-mapped highways.
Well, I'm talking about for other cars. Like, would it be a good idea for other car manufacturers to use that method?
There's reasons why you would want to use pre-mapped highways, but it actually, yeah, basically, I would say use pre-mapped highways for like hands-free stuff, sure, but
Yeah.
pretty much any car can just stay in the middle of the lines now. Like, it's not that hard, I would think. I don't know, everyone does it. Yeah, I don't know. There is something about just this waffling sensation that I just think
You wouldn't find it in a Tesla.
you wouldn't find it in any other car that I've experienced. It's kind of
Right,
like
yeah, that truck that I drove. What was that truck that I drove Bluetooth?
the Hyundai Santa Cruz.
Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, that has highway drive assist too.
That was really
Hyundai
good.
system.
Yeah, that was
really good.
I
And
mean, I trusted it too.
driver control required, but it's still doing it. And it's like right at the edge of the line though, but still counts. Still counts. They're all taking a look at the cameras and the E55 with the compressor license plate, so that's a supercharged
I
one.
don't think their children were in seatbelts.
No,
No.
it's an E55. He's just
No.
living in his own
No.
world.
No. Your children need to be in seatbelts.
Well, you can yell at him about it.
Probably would.
Yeah, so is the speed limit 55 here now?
No. It's gotta be 65. Everybody's
Well, there's the
blowing
speed
past
limit.
us.
Yeah, 65.
Yeah.
But this says 55.
Right. So that's got to be a deduction at some point, because you're paying again with the price of the car. That's a huge thing for me, and you're telling me that a Honda Civic can do that.
What's interesting is I have it set to actually lock in at the speed limit. See this PID?
Yeah.
That stands for Porsche InnoDrive. And I have it set in this settings here that says, touch the, basically match the speed limit. And it doesn't, at least it's using the correct data.
Yeah, but it's not displaying it.
Well, we'll see, because the speed limit does drop to 55 for the second half of this test when it gets real twisty, and then it'll go back to 65 on the way back. So we'll see what it does, if it's the same system or not. I've already noticed a couple times, not necessarily in this test, where the InnoDrive, or I should say the active lane keeping steering, gets in trouble with the car's lane departure warning. So basically it sets off warnings for itself,
Right.
which is interesting. But really, this test is specifically about this stretch of road. And here we are coming into a pretty deep corner. It's a weird one because it has elevation change and turning, and it did it, but like that was kind of sketchy.
Yeah, probably freaking out the people who are driving past us.
Yeah, so I guess, this is why we have commentary over this, because in theory, the car is staying within the lanes, and it is tracking just fine. And it's actually doing better than the drive down here led me to believe it would do. However,
Well, maybe there's
it does send the
modes.
wrong signals.
Maybe there's the drunk driver, and then there's also the distracted mom.
Whoa, how would you differentiate between the two?
Well, a drunk driver is really doing this, but a distracted mom is just kind of constantly just kind of tugging at the wheel and stuff, but listening to her child in the back, so that there's still a little bit of a sway, but it's not like a...
I think you're going to have to quantify those.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with testing. You can't really quantify that.
This is a much more subjective test, but we do have a objective point
well,
system.
When people are on their phone and they're just kind of doing the little sway, and you can kind of tell, versus like a drunk driver is literally like just bouncing around.
Yeah, let's see what it does here with this lane. And it's going to the right. I'm taking over, -1.
That should be like a -3.
Actually, I think the whole system shut off. That's a -3. You're right.
Whoa.
That is a -3.
We're at 0.
We're at 0 right now. So I'm trying to think. The Golf came in with -10. And the Rivian came in with a 1.
Wow.
Yeah, the Rivian was impressive through here.
Good job, Rivian.
But again, different, and not defending Porsche, because again, I'm not really, I love the car, not a fan of this system, just right off the bat.
Right.
I think that their idea here is you're supposed to still drive the car with this kind of on in the background.
Right, they don't want to really trust their drivers.
Yeah, this is not a hands-free system.
No, they're not like Elon saying, oh yeah, it's going to be able to drive itself. Like, no. They're actually like truthfully
Do you
honest.
think Teslas will ever become full self-driving?
No.
All right.
You can't predict human behavior enough.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm
so the
sure
speed
we'll
limit
get
did just drop to 55, by the way, and
So it's correct now.
no, and now we need to slow down to 55.
So it dropped on the second system.
Nothing dropped.
It went to 55 there. Or did you
I
do that?
pulled that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so now we're going sort of the correct speed. The right lane ends, but we'll kind of just waffle over here in the right lane. Look, at the end of the day, the thing that I really actually would prefer is sort of Porsche leaving their traditional values and developing more of a driver plus autopilot like system where you lock yourself into the system and then you have to brake free. In this system, I can nudge the car left or right.
Pretty much. I mean, you can change your own lane without
Yeah.
breaking the system. Unlike Tesla, you have to.
You have to brake away
if
from
you
the
don't
system.
have lane changing,
Auto lane change,
yeah,
right.
then you have to break the system every time. Which I think is kind of annoying to have to continually do that.
Turn it off and then turn it back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people don't like that. I actually don't really mind it personally, as long as it's like an easy activation thing.
Yeah, which it is.
But yeah, for example, here's a lane change, right? So initiate lane change, the system shuts off. I'm now over into the left lane and it locks itself right back on easily. One thing I don't like about this system is it's actually really hard to display. I'm just going to move back to the right lane because I was doing that for demo. It's really hard to see when the system is actively steering and when it shuts off. And it's very similar to pilot assist and travel assist in the sense that because it's very much an assistance system and the cars are designed to work with this system in the background with your hands on the wheel, it will just shut off. This little steering wheel will go gray. That little tiny thing is pretty much the only way you know that it's actively steering.
The lines don't go on green?
Yeah, I think the lines going green also are part of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, what is different from that? Because Tesla's the same.
Well, Tesla, you get the blue steering wheel over in the corner. You can see it pretty easily. And then it goes dun-dun every time you come off of it.
That's true.
I'm not saying Tesla needs to be the baseline for this test. It's just what you're mostly experienced with.
Right.
So now we're going under the speed limit because of this truck in front of us, which is not good because...
And if we're following the truck is on the other side of the
Yeah,
lane.
the truck's like on the other side of the road. I don't know what he's doing. But we need to go around this guy. So into the left lane and locking in. Nope, actually the green lines over here do not indicate active steering. They just indicate that the car has the lines. Wow, the trucks are going really slow today through here. That is the hard thing of this challenge, is maintaining speed, the speed limit for these corners. All right, so let's see what it does here. It's putting in steering input. Still putting in steering input. It did it. It did it. Didn't touch, but it was sketchy.
No, not great.
Not great. We'll let this Yukon go, and then we got to jump over to the left. So I just wanted to get us up to the speed limit for this corner. System, lock in. There we go. It's locked in. It's actively steering. It's a wide lane. Oh, -1.
So we're in -1.
Okay, back locked into steering. It's so hard to know if it's the system can't do the corner or when it actually shuts off steering. Like, that is possible that was a -3 if that steering wheel went gray. I'll go back and review the footage, of course, later.
Yeah, we'll recount as well to make sure that...
Did you see that? It just shot left for a second.
Yeah.
Ooh, getting close to the Telluride. But it's still doing it.
Do you like Kia's new logo?
Yes.
thing?
Oh, and okay, but it still did it, and this is our exit. So, what are we at for the first half of the test so far?
-1.
-1. What's interesting though is normally when I'm on InnoDrive, the system will show up here with like turns and roundabouts and adapt the speed accordingly. At least that's what it should do. It should slow down for corners, but
Right.
because we're going the speed limit, it may only do that if you're going faster. I'm not totally sure. Is this putting you to sleep?
It's just riding cars usually does for road trips.
Yeah,
It's
I gotta say
relaxing.
that was better than the experience on a straight road would lead you to believe. That gives me some hope because
Yeah.
we have a Taycan coming, and
Okay, go.
I gotta go.
Gotta go.
So we have a Taycan coming, and that's going to be our road trip car.
Yes.
And I really want the system to do well.
Right, because I mean, honestly, we've become so used to it with driving
Used to
the
which?
the just driver assistance
Mhm.
that I mean we feel pretty lost without it, I would say.
All right, so I lift up on the stock to lock it in at the speed limit, so it did that. We're actively steering, locked in at the sign where it needs to be, following all the procedures, and let's see how it does. It's really, really, really sensitive. Like, it only gives you a few seconds with your hands off the wheel. The amount of torque that you do have to put in the wheel, though, is minuscule. It's very nice. I would say it's the perfect amount of torque, actually. Oh, it hit the brakes there, actually. Feel that?
No.
You didn't feel that little slowdown?
No.
And
Just-
right on the edge. It slowed down like a hair, still within the same speed, but just enough to make the corner, I would say.
Yeah, and we were reading before more up on like kind of what Porsche's press was on this and what they say, and wasn't one of the things that it should know like corners and stuff that are coming ahead.
I was just talking about that, yeah. And it doesn't show it in the screen, although I have had it. And system is on, but it actually, I made sure no one was in that lane. It was just going straight. I'm just getting -3.
Yeah, that's not good.
That was really not good. Even though the steering wheel was green, it was just going straight.
Right.
You know, I checked, made sure no one was around. I wasn't just doing that blindly. And here we go, corner and -1. I have to take over. But again, the whole system stayed on the whole time. It triggered the lane departure warning buzz. It's funny, the lane departure warning sound is simulating a rumble strip. See here, 65 miles an hour? Let's see what it says. It knows 65. I'm not touching anything. Driver control required. And it's speeding up to match the speed limit. Nope. It just gave up on that idea.
Okay.
And I think what's actually going on is probably what was happening to us when we were on this highway before. Where this, like, one side of the system knew that it was going to be 65, and then the camera probably, and then the map data thinks it's 55. Like, I think that's two systems that had a disagreement, which is stopping InnoDrive from working in our test. But here's my suggestion. You know how we downloaded InnoDrive and active lane keeping separate over the air to this car? You can't do that when you factory order it. If you want lane centering when you order your Taycan from the factory, you have to spec InnoDrive. And personally, what I would want out of the system, and I don't know if others are the same, we got a car on the left and a corner coming up. Oh, that feels like it's right on the edge of just like saying, nope. Doesn't instill confidence, I'll say that much. What I would do for our Taycan, what I'm considering, is not actually ordering that factory option and just going, you know, with adaptive cruise control and then adding just the lane keeping portion separate from the InnoDrive speed adjustment. Because I would keep that off anyway, because we don't drive at exactly the speed limit everywhere. And there's no way to say like +5 or +7 or +10.
Right.
And now it's just going to the right.
Yep. -1.
But it did it, and technically there was an object in the road, but I would say -1. It wasn't avoiding the object, but
No.
it did avoid the object by it failing to stay in the lane. Yeah, so I think the move is to skip the InnoDrive stuff, just go adaptive cruise control with lanes, active lane keeping, which would just give you this. Hold on. It would just give you the ACC and then active lane keeping up there. Options do get complicated on Porsches.
Well, yeah. Well, I would be curious to just like on the configurator site how much in depth they go to where people would understand which each option kind of gives you.
They explain a lot of it.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. There's always little info buttons that give you descriptions.
Well, if that were the case, I think you'd be a pro at it because you're literally speccing your Taycan every day.
Mm.
But I guess you don't read up on that part.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know you could order them separately.
Yeah.
I thought it meant InnoDrive includes active lane keeping, but InnoDrive and active lane keeping are two separate systems. But the way to do it, I think, spec adaptive cruise and then add InnoDrive, or sorry, don't add InnoDrive, add active lane keeping for the US. In Europe, InnoDrive might work better, as Porsche tells us. But nice to have plug-in charge. Some new updates. There's another new 2022 update, which is battery friendly quick charging or something like that. It elongates the use or elongates the charging time slightly, potentially, to save the DC high voltage battery some life. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the name of the thing. I think it's called battery friendly quick charging.
Really?
Yes, there it is.
Oh,
It actually is called that. And what it does is it keeps the battery two different limitations. The first limitation is, I made a video about this, but I was actually wrong. The first limitation is no more than 200 kilowatts and no more than 109 degrees Fahrenheit on the battery temperature. And it also runs the AC a little bit harder. And so I would actually keep our car in that mode most of the time.
yeah, you probably would.
Yeah, because unless we're like long distance road tripping, which we do, and we are plugging in zero and we're trying to hammer it somewhere, I would turn it off. But a lot of times we just plug into a charger and we're waffling around doing whatever.
Yeah, especially if we have the dogs.
Yeah, if we have the dogs, they gotta pee. I mean, the thing charges so fast. You put that on, limits you to 200 kilowatts. As soon as you hit 109 degrees Fahrenheit, it pulls down the current to save the battery. It's a totally new charging curve, totally dynamic.
Yep.
Nice option.
It's pretty good.
Love this car. Not loving the driver assistance, even though it's performing really well in our test.
And that can always improve over time.
In theory, it can improve over time. It's just so many, like the Taycan's just so great, but what it's not great at is just locking laser straight in the middle of the line.
But would you, I mean, in terms of practicality, would you like, I mean, Kyle, every single time he's with my family, he's always suggesting them like a different car to buy. Would you suggest that my grandfather buys this car?
No, it's too hard to get in and out of.
Well, I mean, yeah, beyond that. I mean,
I don't know why. Where did your grandfather come from?
Well,
He's come up twice in this video.
In terms of like, he's a good example for.
So why are you using Tesla as the baseline for your driver assistance comparison?
That's all I'm used to.
That's all you're used to.
I haven't really. The only other road trip I've done is in this car.
Right.
But we didn't have it.
Right, because we just added this.
Right. So this is
After the road
my
trip.
brand new experience with this. This is my first time.
That makes sense.
So that's why it's the only other baseline that I have.
I was only bringing it up because Jordan and I were making similar comparisons to autopilot, and our audience was not happy about it.
Well,
because they're like, why do you have to compare everything to a Tesla? And it's like, well, it's pretty damn good driver assistance.
and Tesla was the first to do it?
No.
No?
I don't think they're the first to do lane centering.
Well, and autopilot, quote unquote.
Well, that's a Tesla coined name.
Well,
No one else can have it except an airplane.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say, like, I mean, yeah, autopilot is you can use it universally because it came from using within planes and stuff.
Okay.
It's a broader term. I mean, it's just that.
Not for driver assistance systems.
Well, for flying and driving assistance systems, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's where my brain goes. I mean, I come from a family that flies planes and stuff, so I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Tesla.
Yeah.
But again, that's the only experience I really have is with Tesla. But I drove the
Highway Drive Assist 2.
Yeah, and I really like that, and I would say I think it's better than this.
Yeah, so we're going to run the Hyundai Ioniq 5 with Highway Drive Assist 2, and
Right.
I'll bring the Santa Cruz up and do it too. We have it for the week.
We have it for the week. It doesn't go back.
No, it goes back. We've had it for a week.
No.
And we still have it for another few days.
Right.
Going around this corner, let's see what it does. Slowing down for the car in front. Not a smooth slowdown. That was like, oh crap, there's a car.
But I would say, I know I don't need to compare, but within Tesla, it does the same exact thing.
Tesla is not smooth with its distance control.
No.
This is not very smooth with its distance control.
Yeah, no.
They are following the guidelines of their spare tire recommendations to a T. Yep, they're going exactly 55, which is probably the limit for of the donut spare. Oh. Did it touch it?
No.
Then it's fine, but definitely gonna dock some points at the end for the drunk driving.
Okay.
Yeah, so I gotta say,
Bison.
it did actually the corners pretty well in this test so far. Yeah, we got a picture of the Rivian with those bison after yesterday's test.
Incredible. Yeah.
And basically the system is actually better in the corners than it is in a straight line, which I didn't think would ever happen in a system.
Well, you know what? That actually brings me up to my workout session this morning.
Oh yeah.
So
How does it do that?
no, let me just explain it. So when I'm lifting weights, my trainer noticed, and it happens with her as well, that when I'm just lifting like the bar, for instance, my form is a little bit more off than it is when I have heavier weight. So when it's harder, my body is likely to do things more correctly than when it's
Like
at
that corner,
yeah.
A+ execution.
Exactly. So maybe that's
Now we're
kind
on a
of
straight
like
line.
the same mentality.
We're waffling to the left, and it's terrible.
It just wants a harder life.
Well, Porsches do like to be driven hard.
They do.
So basically, if you live in the mountains, this is the perfect system.
Yeah. Not a lot of people do.
No, but that's why we chose this challenge. Yeah, it's doing really good. I like that when I hit the turn signal.
Slow down, or is that you?
No, it started to slow down. I hit the left turn signal. It let up. It said, "Okay, I predict you'll move over," and it did. Sort of a
I feel
accelerating
like
lane
it slowed
change.
down a lot faster with this bigger truck than it did with the other car.
Yeah, I think the corner was hard for the car to see the Tiguan in front of us back there. I remember I had a Panamera that was 10 years old now at this point. This is, the previous ugly gen Panamera. And it had the radar-only adaptive cruise. And that exhibited similar slowdown acceleration targets as this vehicle. Except that would not do emergency braking. So if like a car really slowed down in front of you in the old Panamera, it didn't have the camera and radar, so it wouldn't activate emergency brakes, and you would have to add braking pressure manually.
But what is that car? No, it's obviously not like a.
I'm taking over, -1.
Yep. Not a software update.
Say that again?
You can't software update within that car.
No.
But
This one you can though.
yeah, would you say kind of like overall within any car that has these type of driver ADAS systems, are they all pretty much able to do updates?
No, Porsche has not proven that they will update the driver assistance system regularly, or even different functions of the car.
But they have the ability to.
They do have the ability to, yes.
So it can improve in theory.
In theory it could, but I think Porsche's
But
in
they're
the
not
camp of
actively trying to improve it.
and taking over. I think Porsche's in the camp of design it once and then produce it, rather than send a half-baked product out and try and fix it later.
Right.
For I would say important components. I will say, I've had the car for a couple of weeks now, and twice it's gotten a calendar update, which is like, okay, yeah, if that doesn't work, what's going on here? Why is this guy tailgating the truck and not moving over? Sketchy.
As a kid.
Yeah, it's a kid. Looked like he was 6 years old driving that thing. Or 13, really.
Yeah.
But I do like that you can hit the turn signal and it starts to accelerate. Great feature. Most cars have that, but Yeah, the cruise control stock activation is actually backwards from Audi, if I remember correctly. So I'm used to this now. It's not hard. I push away from me to increase speed. I pull back to decrease. I go up to set the speed where I am or to lock it in at the speed limit if I'm on InnoDrive, and I push down to cancel it. There's a little button underneath that sets the mode.
I would say the location of it is not great.
Really? Because it's exactly where my hand is, right here on the left side. I can just knock it forwards, back, do what I need to do.
I don't know. I just, when I was driving it, I kind of like had to reach back there and, you know.
Yeah, I guess no.
Okay.
Don't see what you're saying there. Would you prefer it on the wheel?
I would prefer it up.
Over here,
Yeah.
where the wipers are. Again,
I feel like wipers should be over there. Wipers shouldn't be like in your main cluster.
totally disagree. I love the way everything is set up here. And this is the end of the test. Will it take the exit automatically? Technically, this should be a -1 point. Oh wait, it's going back. Yeah, that's a -1. But I was going to say, if it was just going to pull us off the exit,
No, but it's
that's
not,
like wins the test.
It's not in navigation.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's not designed to take exits.
Right.
But I was like, if the one exit it takes is the one we need to get off, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
And to a stop. So, how many points did we deduct from it?
I mean, the total now is -9.
-9. I would say, just visually from driving this car in the test, and
You thought it was going to do a lot worse.
yeah, I went into this with very low expectations.
Yeah.
And it came out much better.
Yeah.
But it's the corners where it's good, it's the straight lines where it's bad.
Which that is concerning. So like in a city environment, it might not thrive.
There's also a traffic jam assist function, which we haven't tried. This test doesn't simulate stop and go. But in theory, it should do, it does do stop and go. speed,
Nor
of
do
course.
we want to be in traffic.
I don't know how we would guarantee finding traffic for every car we need to test.
I'm sure there's one place that...
If we
is
put
always
lines out on the
traffic.
runway, maybe then we can simulate
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so -9 is the score right now. I'm going to take away another -3 just for the annoyance of it doing this all the time.
So -12.
-12.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I feel like that's almost a bit too nice to it.
I mean, you really were almost like scared to do this.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to do so well.
You didn't want
I'm not-
Porsche to not like you.
No, I don't think that's the issue. I just
kidding. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
I have no problem saying, even though I love the car and we're buying one, I have no problem saying a system's not great.
So you're saying the system's not great.
Compared to other systems available on the market and other systems available inside of Volkswagen Audi Group, or just Volkswagen Group in general, yeah, not good.
Okay.
Not good. Travel assist in a Golf is better than the Taycan system. I think measurably. According to our point system, measurably.
What was it?
The Golf was -10,
That's not measurably.
but it didn't have any of the safety functions in that one because it was a manual.
Okay.
If it was an automatic, then that would be like a -5 or -4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the system in operation's better in the Golf than the Taycan. Long enough video, don't you think?
I do.
Okay. Thanks for watching.
We'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, wish it was better in a straight line.
Oh well. Bye-bye.